about the biggest shift that will get you luxury treatment. I remember years ago when I was, going on a few dates, I went out with a guy that told me in a restaurant that I can only order tap water, which is mostly free, or like very cheap water. And I was just confused, honestly. Like, it was, imagine me 10 years ago. I was just confused. I was like, huh? What is that? Um, but I didn't really know what to do. I felt like something is off, but I just didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, do I order something for myself and just pay myself? Or I don't know, do I drop this guy? Until I would then ask my coach, what should I do? Like, this guy, can only buy me tap water in a restaurant or in a coffee shop. Like, what is that? And my coach was like, you are dating really cheap guys or broke guys. Like, there's just something wrong with that. Or, I was like talking to other men who didn't even think about giving me any gifts of like chocolate, flowers, or anything. All they wanted is me to come see them at their place at their dedicated timing. That's like the opposite of luxurious high effort treatment, right? And I was confused. I was thinking, yeah, should I do it? Let's do it. And it didn't feel good though. And again, I'm so thankful that I invested in a dating coach and a trustworthy dating coach back then, because she told me that, Ellie, this is really low effort treatment. Like, why are you even available for that? And the answer was because I had very low standards, very low self value, and because I was a high achieving woman that thought, if I want something, I like that guy, I have to put in effort. So, because I'm just so thankful for myself to allow myself that guidance back then, um, because of that, I was like, okay, let me be unavailable for this low effort treatment. Okay. And or just like guys who just want to go for a coffee or just want to go for a walk, um, don't show much effort, or guys who, um, you know, just like say, okay, just come over, let's do Netflix and chill. And because I had that guidance, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Okay. But that's not the story of everybody, right? Not everybody has that guidance from the beginning. Um, I'm a big theoretical person, so I pretty early on in my life got coaching guidance. Even when I was a teenager, I signed myself up to a therapist, to therapy, because I was like, I need guidance, what to do in my life. I don't really trust the adult figures in my life. I need guidance. So I literally signed myself up to therapy, So I'm like reading books, watching stuff, signed myself into like therapy back then. Later, I switched to self-development because the therapists were at some point saying, you are an A student, you're doing great. What else can I help you with? Like, I don't know what to help you with. So at some point, I just needed more advanced support. But what did I do to not be available for low effort treatment and to actually start attracting luxurious treatment? 5-star restaurants, being picked up with, being able to be picked up if I wanted to, if I trusted someone, being treated with respect, with love. So what did I do, and what can you do? Okay. As I already mentioned that, I started being unavailable for it. And Thank God I had the guidance. I paid for it. I spent all of my savings. Back then it was just so much money for me. I spent all of my savings, all of my earnings on that guidance, but it was just so important. And so I become unavailable for that. I was like, okay, even though I like these guys and I somehow had this belief that I do have to put in the effort, but I did realize that it just doesn't feel good. And I also realized that the men don't put the effort back. You know how as a high achieving woman, you always believe that if I put in effort, if I work on my business, if I study, if I work on my career, I will get results back, which is completely true. But in relationships and dating, as I always mention, you have the polarity. So the person who um, gives and does more will attract someone more passive. And because I was giving so much, I was doing so much, I realized, okay, I keep attracting men who are very passive, and that doesn't feel good. I'm not in my masculine energy naturally, and I don't feel um, good at that. I really do desire that a man wants to see me, wants to bring me flowers, wants to pay for the date, wants to drive all the way to pick me up. So I realized, okay, that doesn't work. So let me just try to follow that coach. It actually took me a while to really be like, are you sure it's gonna work? But then I did it. And then that was my journey. And then I started to be only available for high effort treatment and luxurious treatment. And you might be thinking that was easy, but it wasn't. It was not easy because we only feel comfortable what feels like home, what feels like normal. And high effort luxurious treatment wasn't normal for me at this point. So when, then I would just for practice go out with a guy or two and then, just have like a coffee date first and then later maybe restaurant, and then the guy would just tell me I'm beautiful, and then he would completely accept me and pay for everything, and I just felt so uncomfortable, literally weirdly uncomfortable. I was like, literally I had this thought, why he says I'm so beautiful, like why he's obsessed with me. I'm used to men who ignore me. Yeah. And because I was doing that inner work, that switch, I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Um, let me see. Let me give it a try and just stay in this uncomfort until after 3 months it became comfortable. And after 3 months it became my normal. I was like, yeah, of course a guy will pay on a date. Of course he will say I'm beautiful. Of course he is loving and respectful and supportive. Of course he respects my boundary of even like not touching on dates. I didn't want to have any sort of physical intimacy. So that became my normal. And from that point, my life changed. And you see, that was a whole transformation. And by the way, ladies, I've technically just given you the recipe how to get rid of low effort treatment and how to accept only high effort, luxurious, respectful treatment. So here you have the knowledge, yeah, but the doing, the embodiment is much harder, Behind the scenes, I personally had to do so much, had to do so much worthiness work. I had to be held by my coach that, okay, this is uncomfortable, but let's get into this reality of me being loved and respected, and let's stay here. So what I'm trying to say is like, you have the recipe how to do it now, and if you can, I really hope that you can implement it and do it, okay? But and I've been doing also exactly the steps with countless, hundreds, if not thousands of my clients right now, where they switch from low effort to high effort treatment. High effort treatment can also be commitment, right? Like whatever you desire. It doesn't have to be just luxury, and good treatment can be also commitment, whatever high effort means for you. I've been doing this transition with so many of my clients, and I've realized that every single woman has kind of a different blockage, a different story, a different reason, a different reason um, why she's in that pattern. And it's also so helpful to be held accountable because, especially, like I've been talking to one client a few days ago, especially if you like a guy, you might go back to the old pattern. So, one of my clients a few days ago, she told me, like, yeah, I really like that guy. I want to spend all of my time with him. But that wouldn't be smart in the beginning, because she should see who the guy is first, right? So I'm being able here to hold her accountable. That's why I'm pretty sure she's gonna be very successful soon, attracting a guy that she really likes, attracting someone that um, is respectful, is committable, is handsome, is treating her with luxury, and also is fully committing. So being able to be held accountable is so important. And that is what I offer you as well in my coaching. And if you feel like I'm the right person for you, make sure to reach out for a free love audit call so I can support you in your dating journey towards your millionaire top 1% loving dream man proposal. I'm putting the link in the description box. Okay. And when you start to implement that, okay? When you start to implement what I just shared with you about how to go from low effort treatment to high effort treatment, basically 2 steps. Be unavailable for low effort treatment men. And then be only available, especially push yourself into situations where people treat you with high effort and try to be available to receive that. And this is much more harder than it's said because have you had the situation where you knew a guy isn't good for you, but you just can't stop thinking about him? You just want him to be kind, you just want him to commit, you just want him to be with you. Like every time your phone buzzes, you're like, is he texting me? Does he want to see me? It's exciting, kind of, but kind of also full of anxiety. And this, for example, has to be overcome. And the reason why a lot of us are doing that is because we want to go to the source of kind of like pain and we hope that it changes. So let's say this guy is refusing to see you regularly, like he's like super busy. And you just like really like him and you hope that he becomes more available, and you think if you look nicer, you behave nicer, he will or maybe if you give him what he wants, he will be more available and he will take you out more. The problem is that that usually doesn't happen. But our psychological thinking, like our thinking, thinks that our brain thinks that yes, we have to go to the source of pain, and then hopefully we convince the guy that he will be nice to us, to me, right? But that doesn't work like that. In reality, it's like a fire, and you keep going back to that fire and keep burning your hand. This is what the reality is, right? And unfortunately, most people, and including me, we have that intuitive urge to keep going back to that fire, like, oh, maybe he will change, maybe he will commit, maybe he will commit, maybe he will treat me better, maybe he will take me out more often. But that doesn't work like that. And that is why you need that extra support, okay, to be able to be unavailable for that. And that is why one-on-one support is priceless, because you're calibrating to a different identity, to an identity who already feels worthy, who already feels, yes, I deserve more, I deserve better, and I'm not gonna just be alone. I'm gonna have a man who treats me with that luxury that I want, that good treatment, that high effort. And even though that might feel scary if you're held by someone who has helped transform so many women's lives. You're gonna have so much more strength and faith to do this transition from low effort treatment, whatever that is in your definition or in your story. I just gave you my story to high effort treatment. Again, whatever it is in your story, everybody has a different desire. For you, maybe high effort treatment is gonna mean that he will always take you out to restaurants and you'll love that. Yeah, I personally, for example, don't really like restaurants so much. I prefer any like sporty activities or any other activities just because I'm eating more restrictive. But yeah, it's all up to you. So what I want you to take from this video, first of all, write down what kind of treatment in your dating situation, and again, you can even apply it in your relationship or marriage. Yeah, write down what kind of treatment you don't like. Make a list. Write down what you don't like, and then on the other side, write down what kind of treatment you would like to have. Usually, it's the opposite of what you don't like, so it's quite simple. But be really honest with yourself. What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? And try to implement those steps. Yeah, and if it's working out, I'm just so happy for you implementing the steps of being unavailable for that and being open for the good treatment, because believe it or not, again, the subconscious mind also sabotages so many times the good treatment. Like I remember in that period where I started going out with really healthy high value men, I just felt kind of unworthy and uncomfortable to even receive any compliments or niceness, or even them paying for my dinner or something like that, you know? So try to be unavailable for the negative treatment and try to open up for good treatment. And if you need more support on that journey, more guidance, more knowledge, more coaching, more accountability, also subconscious support. Like I'm also a trauma informed coach. I know about subconscious healing. I can spot easily subconscious blockages, like the invisible blockages that might hold you back. Like in my case, it was the feeling of feeling unworthy. Yeah, I had to work through that with my coach back then. But if you desire more support, in your dating journey or even in your relationship right now, where you're like, I want that my man, my boyfriend, my fiance, my husband treats me better, with luxury, with respect, make sure to reach out for a free love audit call. You can already ask your questions, and I'm super happy to connect to you. So I will put the link for the free love audit call in the description box. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.